Um, as you know, in Inquiry Circle, I'm working on a worksheet about the climate change, and it's a very tough one. And lately, with the thought that I was inquiring now, I stumbled on something that I would like to bring in here.
Okay.
I read it for you. Um, so I was doing a thought, and I was almost done with the turnarounds, and then I already wrote it down. I can feel with a lot of the examples I found, they're genuine, but at the same time, there's another stressful thought that goes with this. And that thought is there's not enough time left to save the planet if we go that slow. And I want to inquire this one in between the rest of my worksheet because it often pops up while working this worksheet. I will first look into more underlying beliefs that go with this thought. So my next post will be an interludium. And I thought it was a good idea to do that now.
Okay, great. Well, let's look at that one. The popping up when you're doing the work on this whole situation of climate change, and this is kind of an underlying belief that's popping up for you. So let's do the work on it. There's not enough time left to save the planet if we go that slow. Is that true?
Yes. Yes.
And can you absolutely know it's true? There's not enough time left to save the planet if we go that slow.
No.
So how do you react? What happens when you think there's not enough time to save the planet if we go that slow?
Um, when that thought arises, I feel like a, very strong feel of urgency. And actually, it's kind of panicking, I think.
Hmm.
Like I'm trying the best I can, but it goes too slow, and it's my heart starts beating a lot faster. My 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 way of thinking becomes like a tunnel view. Like I can only see that. It's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. And I see a lot of images of my children, my grandchildren, else's children, and grandchildren that have to cope with what we've done, and that it doesn't go fast enough, and that's that's what we leave to them. So it makes me feel guilty, and um, it's it. I feel also powerless because it's such a huge thing. How can I make it faster? I mean,
Hmm.
as a person, as one individual person for the whole planet. So all that kind of reactions to that thought.
And how does this thought affect the work that you were doing? Like you were saying, you were finding genuine turnaround examples for other parts of the climate change stress for you. So how does, when this thought comes in that there's not enough time left to save the planet if we go that slow, how does it affect that other work that you were doing?
Then I feel like um, the examples for the turnarounds are they're genuine, but there is part of them that I don't believe because of that
Mhm.
thought, that other underlying thought. So I can feel they're true examples, but mm-mm, it's a bit.
Yeah, yeah. True, but there's not enough time. So it's
Yes,
so then it
exactly, exactly. Yeah, that one.
yeah, right. Okay. Um so who would you be without the thought? there's not enough time left to save the planet if we go that slow.
Well, as for the examples, they would just be 100% genuine then. They would feel very much possible or already there. I can see them.
Hmm.
And for myself, the way I'm living my life, I would just continue doing what I'm doing now. I'm doing the best I can. I know in my daily life the planet is number one, so I already do the best I can, and there will probably be even better ways. And if anyone can give me one, I will try to find out whether that works for me. But it would just be, I would be just at ease. And I wouldn't
Okay.
think of whether it goes fast enough or not. I would just do what I can, and that would be enough.
Yeah. Cool. So turn the thought around. There's not enough time to save the planet if we go that slow.
There is enough time to save the planet if we go that slow. That's interesting because that comes close to one of the turnarounds that I was now working on with the other thought.
Okay. What do you
hmm
see?
Um, one of the things that I saw with the other example, and it goes for this too, is that if it goes really fast, a lot of people could be kind of disrupted, or because it's too fast, because they cannot
Mhm.
adapt. So, so in a way, I started to wonder, what does that mean, fast and slow, in a scenario like this? So, yeah, maybe it has to go this slow. That's uh, that's what I feel then.
Okay. So what are, like, can you be more specific in terms of what could be some of the disadvantages of going too fast or the advantages of going slow as you play with this?
The advantage of going slow um, is that people can adapt more easily, I think. And
And what does that
uh,
mean? If you can, if is there anything specific you can?
phew, it's too huge.
It is
There are
huge,
so
I
many.
know.
There are so many things. I mean, if I start thinking about that, everything is connected. So if you
Hmm.
start thinking of one little thing in our society and you start moving that around, all the other things start moving too. So if
Yeah.
you do
It's
that
an
really,
ecosystem.
yeah, yeah, and if you do that really thoroughly, everything is disrupted. That's how it feels to me. And then
Could
people
be.
have to rebuild themselves and their society, which is okay. I mean, if this would happen, then this is what happens. I mean,
Hmm.
I, I live my life like everything has disadvantages and advantages. So, but but a really specific thing, I it's just an overall feeling that I have about this.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I think you were starting to get specific there.
yeah,
So keep going. How else is it could be true that, like, what else are the advantages of slow? Like, how is it that there's enough time to save the planet even if we go that slow?
yeah. Most of the time, when a human being learns something and it goes fast, they will forget. And when it goes slow, then it can root inside. So
Hmm.
maybe it has to be slow, because if if we would start to change something thoroughly that is actually affecting everything, then maybe we make it worse. maybe it has to be slow because then we can see more clearly.
Like you said, it's more rooted. Yeah, I can see
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Because we're not really we're talking about two factors here. One is the climate itself, the change in the
Hmm.
climate, which has physical effects on the climate, and can be devastating. And the other is the people, like the mindset of the whole human race, um, adjusting and changing to accept the reality of it and make changes to change that situation. And yeah, so there's kind of a push-pull between how fast is the climate change actually
Hmm.
happening and how fast can humans go without it backfiring.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's
And I actually like that. It's maybe it sounds strange, but I like to live in these times because it's so
mhm,
interesting to see what's happening and how people evolve. Some people really evolve very quickly in all the matter of the climate change, and others. And it's interesting also to see what's going on with the collective. Like I really believe that's one of my not stressful thoughts. That
mhm,
if we reach 25% of people that really want to make changes and think differently already, the rest will follow. It will
hmm.
just it will just turn, and it will a lot of things
Okay.
are going to happen then.
So that's a great example right there of
Yeah.
the turnaround. There is enough time to save the planet if we go slow. Maybe the slow is in the beginning, like
Yes,
an
exactly.
exponential curve, right? It's
Yes.
so
Yes.
slow, and then
Yeah, that's
everyone
how, yeah,
follows at some
exactly.
point.
That's how it
Mhm.
feels to me. I even explain that to people if they ask what do you mean then? And then I go, look at the whole history of humankind, how that went. With the population, it went like this. With
Mhm.
the Industrial Revolution, it went like this. Everything that we do goes like that. It's apparently it seems
It's
to be part of our way of evolving. So
it's
I
nature.
kind of
Yeah.
think it's going to work this way as well for with the climate change
Yeah.
and
And so
dealing with.
we tend to think in terms of linear
Hmm.
changes, like we're on a line like this, and if we keep going, it's not going to be enough time to reach
Yeah,
it, it will
exactly.
be too late. But we forget that it might be more like that, and
Yes.
and there will be time
Yeah.
depending on how that kicks in. So that's
Hmm.
interesting. Hmm. There will be enough time to save the planet if we go that slow. Any other examples come up for you of how even at this pace of change, there still might be enough time to save the planet?
Yes, because I'm an impatient person.
So you're seeing through the glasses of impatience.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
course, it's not fast enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in reality, it might be more okay than your mind sees it, in other
Hmm.
words, right?
Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Actually, I'm actually pretty sure about that anyway.
Cool, cool. So that's perspective. That's what we do in this work is look for
Yeah.
perspective, right? And
Uh-huh.
and this is, yeah. There might be a little bias inside of me who's impatient, wanting it to be faster, but the reality may be it's okay. Are there any concrete things, examples to support that of how, even though you're impatient, how it's going one step at a time could actually still work? I don't know. We found a few, but if there's
Mm,
anything more.
yeah, I don't know exactly for climate change, but I noticed that in my life. Like whenever I have a mind that easily starts worrying, and then very often afterwards, after some time, I look back and then I think, why was I worrying? I mean, there was no problem at all,
Mm,
that kind of
mm,
stuff. And I think in a
that's
way that
cool.
also goes with the climate change. I think it's nobody knows what's going to happen exactly, like in which parts of the world things are going to be in a certain way. Actually, I don't think
Hmm.
people really know that. We only know that in general.
Right.
um, but then people are also preparing, like, we're going to have a climate change anyway, so we will have to deal with it anyway, so let's start prepare. And so perhaps we find things that can help us, um, even when the climate has changed.
Hmm.
And then looking back, you can say, oh man, and we were so much worrying about that, and we got a solution for it. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. It can happen. It can happen quickly. It's like we never thought that the Berlin Wall would come down,
Yeah.
but then boom, it was done. It was just like,
Yeah.
what? It's over. Like, how did
Yeah.
that happen? So
Exactly. Yeah.
you never know.
uh,
And it's also interesting, I'm just thinking aloud here, but how sometimes when people get like when something starts to be really a gross example of climate change, like I don't know, maybe it hasn't happened yet, but something major happens, like suddenly uh, a, a like a huge shift in the ice shelf happens, or like some water levels change, or something even more major than is already happening. If it was something sudden, it might shift people quickly
yeah.
to
Mhm.
what can we do? And maybe it's a little too late, but
Mm.
maybe we human beings wait until the last second until we
Yeah. Yeah.
see the storm is here. Now I'm going to try to do something.
Yeah. And
So,
yeah, and also I can feel in myself there is some kind of deep trust that the planet knows how to handle it. The
hmm,
planet will find its own balance, uh,
I love it.
despite us.
I love it. I love
Mm.
it. Yes. Despite us, like we don't have to control it
No.
100%. We have caused some problems, some damages and everything, but we are also part of nature.
Yeah.
And but the planet has a way of, if it goes too far this way, it comes back this way. And yeah,
And I
it's
heard on
interesting.
the radio, and that really made me happy. There's now a lot of buzz around natural intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. I've heard that several
Cool.
times on the radio here, like people talking about that, like natural intelligence is exactly that. That's the planet that we have to kind of we need to relearn how to surrender to the natural intelligence.
Yeah.
And so it looks a bit, and yeah, then if we start doing that in the beginning, it will be slow, which is good. And then
Hmm.
my feeling is that it will go exponential. Why? Because we are part of the planet. This is our
Yeah.
true nature here on this earth. So
Yeah.
it may just turn out well. I hope.
It's so cool, just like internally, because this work is always about our internal experience here and how you see things and makes a difference. But how internally the the experience, instead of being one of panic, is one
Mhm.
of surrender or one of trust. And like
Yes.
the world will balance itself out. We can trust that. Even if human beings don't aren't a part of that equation, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But one way or the other,
Mhm.
it's going to balance itself out. And who knows, it might balance itself out and manage to coexist with human beings as well. Who knows? Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So, but what I was trying to say is the difference in feeling, right? One is I'm powerless because I have to use
Mhm.
my effort to change the world. The other is I'm not powerless because natural intelligence will take care of it in the
Mhm.
most efficient way possible. That's what it
Oh,
always says.
I found a nice paradox here.
Okay, what do you got?
I'm not powerless because I surrender.
Okay, say more.
Surrendering in a way to many people that means to lose power, to be like
Mm,
I'm not in power anymore because I surrender, you know? And in
mhm,
this case,
mhm.
and maybe always, I don't know, I'm not powerless because I surrender.
It's very interesting, right? That I agree. Like, when do I feel powerless? Is when I haven't surrendered and I'm trying to
Mhm.
fight an impossible
Exactly.
fight, right?
Yeah.
So I feel powerless against climate change. I can't change it. I can't make it go faster. I can't do anything. Or I can do very little. So I feel this feeling of powerless. Um, Whereas surrender is like just seeing it differently, just seeing
Mhm.
it that nature is taking care of itself. It will find the balance, and um, I have I've given up control in a way. But what I really done is I'm just acknowledging the truth is that I don't have that much control. So I've accepted the fact that I'm not in control anyway. What makes me
Mhm.
feel powerless is when I'm trying to control something that I
Yes.
can't control.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if I surrender to that, then I naturally come back to what I can do.
Yes. Yes. Which is empowering, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are things I can do. There are many
Yes.
things I can do.
Yes.
But when I'm
And
seeing the climate
imagine,
change like this big thing, I'm like frozen. I can't do even the small
yeah,
things. Yeah. What
and
were you saying?
imagine that everyone does that individually. Like,
Done.
so
Done.
let's do the work all the time.
Yeah. Like, let's
Everyone.
get out of the panic. Like, there's two things. One
Yeah.
thing is being in denial, right? That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work also.
No.
The other is being aware but panicked because
Mm-hmm.
it's this huge thing. And that doesn't work either. Both lead to the same place of inaction. Yeah, I'm not taking action if I'm in denial. I'm not taking action if I'm panicked. So if I'm in the panic situation, at least, then I can do the work and kind of come back to, okay, surrender a bit, and then what can I actually do, which is
Mm-hmm.
totally empowering. And if we all do that, even if 25%, as you say, do that, it can make a huge difference in the world. But even if the world doesn't change, it makes a huge difference in my experience.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what's important.
Yeah. That's actually the main reason why I keep doing the work.
That's it. That's it. That's it. The work is for my own inner experience. And the more clarity and peace I have inside, then naturally the more I can take action outside in an appropriate way that feels empowering, that actually can make a difference. But I'm not getting caught into a trap where I'm just making myself feel powerless.
Hmm.
So, in conclusion, there is not enough time to save the planet if we go slow. Is that true?
Well, it could be true, of course, but
Could be true.
it's one
Yeah,
of the possibilities.
it could be true, right? It could be true, and it might not be true. We'll
Mhm.
find out. I don't need to
Yes.
panic now about it.
Mm.
All I need to do is take my whatever action I can, and and we'll see. We have front row seats.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Well, thank you for this work. Very engaging, very valuable, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you too.